let's go over the PS5 reviews. PS5 embargoes went up. There was some interesting information in there. What do you think, Max, about what we saw for the PS5?
I think a lot of people were impressed about things that I didn't even consider. I think the thing that impresses me the most, I play a lot of multiplayer, and the thing I'm most excited for is multiplayer on my PS5. And that whole like in-game action bar where you can like bring up a quick menu and you can do things like play Pandora, or one of the things you can do is you can stream somebody else's screen. So if you and I were playing co-op, I could basically almost make my own version of split screen co-op and put your gameplay in the corner of my screen. That is so revolutionary. I'm excited for it.
So
I think that was something Stadia said they wanted to do, and then
gosh,
yeah.
Oh boy,
yeah. It's too bad Stadia sucks.
Of course, Stadia comes up.
Stadia wanted to do a lot of things.
Miles Morales looks good too. That's 85, I think. Last I saw Metacritic, it seems like people are really excited, having a good time with it, and it actually sounds like it's a little longer than people were expecting it to be, because we heard it was expansion, and then Nate, I think you had mentioned at one point that it was what, like
I've been
10 hours
hearing from people I've been talking to. They might do some of the collectathon stuff where they're trying to get 100%, but they're getting close to about 20 hours out of it. And I don't think that's too bad for an expansion that people are viewing it as.
I'm hoping it does bridge the gap from like Spider-Man 2018 to the Spider-Man 2 that we know we're going to get in a couple of years or so. And that would be cool if it kind of had this good cliffhanger ending that gets us there, or just kind of sets things up for that, where you're playing as Miles a bit, getting him more acclimated to being a hero and swinging around and all of this. So it's cool. Also, that suit looks amazing from the movie.
I know. I rewatched it today, just right before we started. I rewatched Into the Spider-Verse.
What's strange though, okay, so when are these Demon Souls reviews coming out?
Right,
sometime next week, maybe.
Is it coming out the day before the system launches?
I think it's the day of, maybe.
You might see some reviews the day of system launch. To my knowledge, review code has not yet been distributed.
Oh, interesting. That's one I'd want to get that out a little earlier, because people are probably going to get killed quite a bit in the game, get messed up. So.
That's a game you don't need review coverage of. People are going to buy it on the hype.
That's a good point. Yeah, I guess that's
true. You're buying Demon Souls, and
I'll tell you why they're going to do that though, because people be like people be ruining too many things for people, like how to beat certain bosses. They don't want all that crap out there. You know what I'm saying?
It came out like 10 years ago.
It doesn't matter. It came out they don't want that. They want it to be a fresh experience. There's going to be a lot of new players you got to remember. Yeah, we were all old 10 years ago or whatever, but there's a lot of people that were, if they're 5, they're 15 now, or they're 16. So they don't want all that stuff out there. And I think that's the reason why. They just don't want all the strategies out there. They just want people, look, if you want to buy it, you buy it. The game's good. We already know the game's really good. So I think that's the reason why they're doing that. They just don't want all that crap out there, spoilers.
So from what I can tell, the system looks solid, but what was really weird was we had load times come out, MVG, and this seemed to surprise a lot of people, because it had to do with backwards compatibility, which is still the big thing, since like OJ, you're going to go back and play a lot of the current gen games on the system.
Yeah, I'm excited, dude.
Which is cool, because we will see some like Ghost of Tsushima is going to get a patch that's going to make that play. It sounds incredible with all the stuff they're going to add to it, which is great, because it has that multiplayer they added too, which is already really good. But they started doing some testing for backwards compatibility, and it seemed to surprise to people that the Series X was actually loading these games either as fast or even faster than what the PS5 was in some cases. I think Witcher 3 is faster on the PS5, but like a vast majority of the games that were being tested, I think GameSpot has a video, Trusted Reviews has a video. They were going through it, and we're seeing some pretty large, like 20-30% gaps between them in terms of load times. And everyone's still kind of unsure about this, but what would you think about that, MVG? What was your take on that one?
I wouldn't read too much into that stuff. First of all, there will be a day one patch when the hardware comes out. It's very hard to make those comparisons when you don't have, I guess, the final retail. But I guess, the other thing is, you got to remember that Microsoft has invested so much time and money in backward compatibility. Sony has done less so. And I think ultimately the reason why the performance of the loading may be slower on the PS5, even though it has the faster specification SSD and controller, is simply because there's a lot more that needs to happen for a backward compatible PS4 game to run on a PS5 as compared to a backward compatible Xbox One game on an Xbox Series X or Series S, because there's a lot more that goes on technically. There's the graphics, the shaders, and all that stuff need to be recompiled. That stuff has to happen on the Xbox as well. But you're going from DirectX to DirectX, right? So there's that on the PS4 and the PS5. There's just a lot more that's happening there, and I think the CPU is doing more work to decompress, recompile shaders, get all the assets ready for PS5 on the backward compatible game, and ultimately I think that's why it's a little slower. But again, I wouldn't read too much into it. I think it's probably something that Sony could address. And look, we'll see when the kind of day one firmware patch comes out what the numbers are like.
We'll see with some of these next gen games too, like Assassin's Creed will probably be a good one to look at.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk's probably going to be a big one to look at too.
I would expect from anything next gen. I think Sony will have a faster loading system.
Spider-Man loads like crazy fast from what they were showing.
Yes, I would expect everything to load faster on the PS5. Anything going backward in time may not, and as we've seen, that's the case. So I don't think it's a big deal. It's one of those things that's like, oh look, the PlayStation's supposed to have the faster SSD, but it's slower than the Xbox. So everyone's getting really excited about it because they expected the PS5 to be quicker. But honestly, I mean, the PS5's backward compatibility solution is good, but it's not anywhere near as refined as
it's kind of like a general like fill all. Basically, the PS5 just tries to emulate the PS4 through clock speeds and all of this, and just tries to match that profile. So it's like, it seems to me that Microsoft investing so heavily in backwards compatibility is paying off now. But when we get these these next gen games showing up that will take advantage of the SSD, it'll be pretty straightforward with the PS5 having faster load times for the most part.
Yep.
Is the way I'm looking at it. Microsoft is, how long they've been doing this backwards compatibility stuff, where they've been investing in. It's been a long time.
Since 2006, 2007, when they announced it. Sorry, for the Xbox 360, for the original Xbox games. They've been doing it literally for like 15 years, And they have a solid team around it too. I'm actually really curious to see what they'll do with the Series X, if they decide to pick out some other games from like the 360 and the original Xbox, and they do things like ray tracing added in. That could be something that'll be really cool to see. So you never know. I don't think the load times on the PS5 for backward compatibility games is anything that's of a concern, right? The load times are still great. It's just Microsoft came in with like these amazing load times, and everyone's just like, wow, that's unbelievable. Sony can definitely improve those load times, and it really is now up to them whether they invest into doing that or they just look ahead into the next gen.
I'm kind of thinking, based on Jim Ryan's track record, he's going to be like, to the future instead. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
And they'll firmware update it.
Yeah,
firmware updates to improve it. And I mean, like, Digital Foundry showed some of the backwards compatibility stuff on the PS5. And I think it was Sekiro. Sekiro runs at a more consistent 60 frames a second than the Xbox Series X version does.
Yes, so that's because it runs at
3 extra seconds of loading, but you have better performance. Do you really care?
That's because it's running at a lower resolution, this checkerboarded up. Yeah. So it actually works out that they're using the PS4 Pro version of it, whereas on the other side, the Series X is trying to do it native 4K. So I think the checkerboard makes more sense for a game like that, because to be honest, you're probably not going to notice any real difference since you're busy, playing the game and trying not to die. Yeah. So I think Sony's approach to that one is better because of that. So,
I mean, it's a weird, real controversy that people are looking at it with the load times, because you're looking at some of these games like Final Fantasy 15 that took forever to load on current gen systems.
Oh man, it's bad. Yeah.
Now they're going down to really good loading times, and people are gonna say, well, mine's 15 seconds faster. Like, okay, great, it's 15 seconds. Like, if this generation really becomes so petty where people are gonna say, my game took 5 seconds, yours took 7.
Welcome to next gen, Nate.
That's a whole
that's what's gonna happen.
Do you know? I know it's gonna happen, and that's kind of
when the PS4 and the Xbox One came out. People were arguing over 1080p and 900p images.
I remember that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I honestly think the big battle is going to be games. Just the fact that Microsoft has nothing, I think that's going to be the big talking point. Is just the fact that it's like, cool, Microsoft has great backwards compatibility. Here's my PlayStation 5
I kind of see it being like how in the beginning of the PS3, it was very slow for Sony to get out of the gate, but that was because their hardware was so expensive. But then at the end, they really started like catching on with all kinds of games, and the hardware became more affordable. I almost think Microsoft could be on that same kind of path, because it's just going to take these studios that they picked up recently just time to get these games out. So
the other thing to keep in mind is, if you guys watch Digital Foundry's video about the backward compatibility, they showed some games that had that warning, that said this game may not perform correctly. I mean, we're all assuming that warning is for just graphical glitches and maybe some quirks in the gameplay. But what if it actually has to do with loading performance? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if it's the entire package, right?
It could.
So, I think Sony, again, if they choose to do so, I think they can definitely improve.
I hope they do.
Experience.
Yeah, because like Sekiro still has, I think, still a great one to play with that for the frame rates. So if you could see that kind of performance and better load times across the board, especially with like Ghost already loads super fast on the PS4 Pro. I don't know how much faster it's going to load on the PS5, but to have better load times across the board that just improve would be good. So we'll see. I'm just really curious now about Cyberpunk and how fast the comparisons around that.
See,
one thing.
Go ahead, Nate. Go on.
No, go.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, that's not even getting its next gen patches or its next gen.
That's right. Yeah.
So
that's why it's going to be interesting to see how they do just raw performance.
Because I mean, they're targeting PS4 Pro and Xbox One X, and they'll add the next gen, or they'll make it compatible for the PS5.
Here's what I'm confused about with Cyberpunk while we're talking about this right now. They said that this game turned into a next gen game somewhere along the way, but it's not going to be a next gen game at launch.
Right? Yeah. I'm
a little confused here.
They're saying a lot of things.
Yeah. Right.
I'm a little confused on this game right now.
I 100% think there's going to be the whole way Anthem had all those like chapters written about it afterward, like all the story.
Oh boy.
I think it's just not even a negative way. I do think Cyberpunk's going to be good, but I feel like this is one of those, like, they were trying to build Witcher 4 in the future, and then over time I was like, oh, cut it back.
It just sounds like they just took on way too much of Cyberpunk. So this is going to be a very interesting launch when that game comes out. I feel like I'm going to turn it on. It's going to be like, here's a 60 gigabyte day one patch,
right?
And it's actually the whole game. so that's we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't break it like Watch. They're gonna fix that soon, right?
I hope so.
Like, you can't play the game right now. I just thought of that. We just can't even play it.
So I played it. I keep getting emails from Ubisoft basically saying like, hey, we know you reviewed the game. Reviewing the game. Just want to let you know we came out with another update patch. They keep emailing me with every patch. Like, hey,
email them back.
I know. I'm thinking about I can. Maybe I will just ask the developers and be like, hey, it broke. Can you fix it?
Okay, so we did also hear about the download speeds being faster. MVG once again on the PS5. Heard it was significantly faster, which is good, because I don't know if it's just me, but like the PlayStation Network download speeds are very slow on the PS4.
Yeah. Oh, ridiculous.
Is it okay? I don't know if it was just me, and I've just been like,
and I've tried all the tricks, changing the DNS servers, all that stuff that people tell you to do. Nothing makes a difference. It's slow as hell.
Apparently with the PS5, I don't know, maybe they uncapped it or did something. People are showing comparison times where it is like 80% faster, like tremendous amounts of download speeds that they're getting, which is great. So I'm happy to hear about that. But something was brought up alongside of this, and that is apparently, and I had to like triple check this, right now people who are playing the PS5 can't back their games up to an external drive.
Correct.
Oh yeah.
Which is and we're not talking about being able to play PS5 games.
The game or back up the save.
Back up the game. It's like, how we can, like on the Xbox, you can plug in a hard drive and you can move the game over to save space. Apparently people are discovering that right now, anyway, in the current build, the PS5 they're using, you cannot plug an external drive in and move your PS5 game to it for storage. We're not talking about playing games off it, just for storage, and then move it back when you want to actually, use it. That is apparently not ready right now.
It's a firmware update in the future.
Yeah.
That's got to be a day one patch, right?
Yeah.
Probably not.
It's just that thing again. The system, everything is coming in hot right now. Like
It's gotta be, dude. When I heard that, I was like, wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that will come eventually. I don't know if it comes day one, like Nate said, but they'll definitely add that in.
Well, we had the space. The space for it is 667 gigabytes after the system partitions. So, like, that's not a lot. Especially like Spider-Man Remastered has both Spider-Man games over 100 gigabytes. Call of Duty has 133 gigabytes. So now we're closing in on half of that space that's available to you with 2 games.
Yeah, it's interesting that Sony has allocated all that additional space when they don't have like a quick resume feature, right?
They have the activities, and I'm almost thinking that is what that space is for, where they store those save states or whatever it is.
The activity cards are more like hyperlinks to just play the game. I mean, it's fast. I saw the Astrobot level booted up in like 3 seconds.
It was quick. Yeah, it was very fast.
Insane if you can do that for other games where it's just like a platformer. It's I can go to this level, or I think it's Devil May Cry 5. You can go right into what is it, like the store? You can go right into speed runs, and I think Spider-Man, you can go right into certain areas where you're trying to find collectibles. I mean, it has cool potential if it's utilized correctly.
Dude, they had a Devil May Cry loading in like less than 2 seconds from that load screen. It was crazy. So it's I mean, it's gonna be interesting. I don't know. This hard drive thing was weird. That caught me off guard. I thought that would have been pretty straightforward because it already happens. Like they already do it with the PS4. So
I have a theory about it, and I don't know if it's true, but you know, as someone that has seen, you know, Pokemon get leaked and data mined to oblivion, do you think they're securing the games, the next gen games, onto the internal drive so people can't data mine the game?
Oh, I like that idea. That actually makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Maybe we get that. Yeah. So you're thinking maybe they get that patch at launch and they're just doing this. So, because I mean, if you have a PS5 and you're sending it out to reviewers and they only have access to 3 games, right? Astro. What else do they have? They have Spider-Man. Do they have Sackboy yet?
I have not seen a single thing.
I haven't seen
Bug Snacks.
Bug Snacks.
Okay, so we got 3 games there, right?
I knew there was a third.
Okay, and Astrobot comes with the console. It's already on the system.
Yep.
So they wouldn't even need access to the hard drive really, unless they're doing, I guess, just backwards compatible games or something. But you can do PS4 games as it is. Like that works just PS5 games. So you might be onto something there, MVG. Maybe there is a day one patch.
Yep.
I could see that. That would be something that could happen. But then on top of that, it does sound like we won't have those NVMe drives ready either at launch. It sounds like that will be another firmware patch down the road. No whitelist for NVMe drives.
I'll wait for your video on that one to see.
Yeah, people are just going to make me buy random NVMe drives and just like, this one works, this one doesn't work, this one doesn't work. I'm just going to make a whole list myself.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that yet.
That'd be a good video. It'd be funny if you did like, does it work or does it get the hammer? And everyone,
I just smash it. Yeah,
yes.
I wouldn't do any.
That could have worked in my PC, but you know, it's cool.
You're not gonna be wasteful.
It is definitely. You know what, FG, you're absolutely right. I think these systems could have probably waited to next year, but they're coming in hot. You're right.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, I'm excited about next week. I know we all are.
Oh, hardware, new hardware,
new hardware. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you can tell. Not Sony, Microsoft, everyone is scrambling right now to get this stuff ready before the holidays.
Yeah, Ubisoft just broke their game.
Ubisoft, yep,
literally broke their game. Okay.